agencies, DIA, Department of Defense, State Department, Treasury, DEA, all with their own interests in, with the support of the Panamanian government to exploit the cache of documents. We expect, as General Kelly said, when we get into the large safe that's in Building 8 at Fort Amador, to find a treasure trove of things that even exceeds what we've found already. As far as the hostages are concerned, in working closely with Southcom, who of course has the lead, we've taken about the baker's dozen worth of reports we had on various hostage incidents, and we've essentially resolved 3 of those. The most recent one being the Smithsonian activity. We did fly a Cobra and a Black Hawk last night to try to find the individuals. We were unable to locate them in the dark. They flew out this morning and picked all 11 up, and they've been returned to Howard. We still have what we consider to be 3 pretty credible reports of hostages, which we're working to resolve that have not been resolved yet. There may be others that we're unaware of.
In the report up from Panama this morning, they indicated that some of the so-called hostage situations were people who were isolated but not threatened and felt afraid, and they were calling in. But I can tell you there's no higher priority we have than getting to the Americans in Panama City and making sure that they're safe and secure. There are 10,000 of them non-DOD connected individuals who live in Panama City, so there's a great big bunch.
I only add one thing to something General Kelly said about Building 8 at Fort Amador. Southcom informed us this morning there are going to be press tours of Fort Amador. I don't know when they're going to start, today or tomorrow, but I think you'll find a great deal of evidence that Noriega was, in fact, a corrupt, debauched thug. In addition to some of the things General Kelly's mentioned, we found a witch's diary that goes along with the evidence that we have, that periodically up from Brazil would come normally 2 female and one male members of the occult who would counsel him on, I can't imagine what.
Maybe how to stay away from the U.S.?
He didn't succeed, did
he? As someone in intelligence, would you expect Mr. Noriega to try to get some broadcasts out, to try to rally his troops, or would you expect him at this point to simply stay undercover?
I think very quickly he's not going to have any troops. The Ndara government this morning swore in the first new members of the new PDF.
But from intelligence announcement, I mean, do you think he will try to broadcast to come out from hiding in some way? Or
he has not had any broadcast capability that we're aware of, at least that we've heard, in the last 24 hours.
General Kelly, we
telling us the situation is under control there, but we had reports within the last hour or so of mortar rounds being fired in Panama City by the PDF. If it's under control,
there is, let me address that, excuse me, there is sporadic firing in the city. I am aware of a mortar round that went into, where? Fort Amador? Quarry Heights. Incidentally, I've been over at the Senate Armed Services Committee all morning, so I'm not as far up the learning curve as I would like to be. Things like that can happen in a city that's in the shape that Panama City is in. We are moving out to correct these things. Popping off one mortar round is a fairly easy thing to do. You drop your tube and take off. Maybe you leave it there, maybe you don't. So those things are somewhat understandable. They're not acceptable, and we're going to work very hard to resolve them, but I can understand how that could happen.
You're satisfied it's under control?
I am satisfied it's under control, yes.
What's the situation at Albrook Air Force Station? I understand they took some mortar rounds, too. One building, at least, was seen in flames.
It's possible that they did. I'm unaware of it because, as I said, I haven't been able to stay as abreast of the situation as I would have liked.
Were there any aircraft weapons in the caches that you found? Were there any aircraft weapons in the caches?
Tony?
I am not certain. We'll have a list of that available. I'm not sure when it will be. There were no sophisticated anti-aircraft weapons in that. There may have been some SA-7s. That's the reason that I'm hesitating when I give you the
tactical air operations other than the A-7?
Sir?
Have there been any tactical air operations other than the A-7s and A-7s?
We have in Panama A-7s, A-37s, and AC-130s, all of which have been up and been used, yes.
But the reports of air attacks in San Miguelitos this morning were wrong.
What are the civilian casualties as a result of the air actions and other actions?
Civilian casualties, we do not, you're talking about Panamanian civilians, we do not have a very good handle on yet. Excuse me, Ted, let me get into that here. We have 2 that we know were killed. They were both Americans, so we don't have any information on Panamanians who were killed, and I believe about 200 that were injured. that's one of the areas that we're trying to look into. Remember, we're not all the way into the city yet, and so there are some gaps in our knowledge.
General, many members of Congress couched their praise for this maneuver on the basis that Noriega would, in fact, be caught. It's now 3 days into this operation. He has not been caught. Are you afraid that you're going to start having to respond to criticisms that this has been a failure because of that?
No. Let me say that our primary purpose in going to Panama was to restore democracy, and that's been said by all of my bosses, and to get Noriega from power and to capture Noriega. We've accomplished 2 of the 3. Noriega, as I said, I think yesterday, doesn't have a payroll, doesn't have a bunch of thugs that are out pushing the people around, isn't skimming money off the top anymore, isn't doing those things, and I don't think has a very long half-life. I think he will be captured one way or another, and I hope it's very soon. It could be 2 minutes from now, by the way. We just don't know. But he sure is out of power, and we sure did accomplish our main objectives, and the government that was elected by the people of Panama has been installed, and I think that's something that all Americans can be very proud of.
Why are you considering sending in further reinforcements, General? Why are you considering sending in further reinforcements?
To speed up cleaning up the city.
Can you still characterize the military activities?
You talked about sending, I think, the 7th Infantry Brigade
We did.
through the city, but now you're talking that the 82nd Airborne is going through the city, and what did you say, the 193rd?
Yes.
Why the change in plans?
I'm not certain. I said the 7th Infantry yesterday, although I admit I may have. I didn't memorize every word. But we have operations that we plan in Panama that do not have to do with Panama City proper. I alluded to them out west of the city, and so we'll use what forces are available the way the commander feels is best, and he has a solid plan to know what it is, and I think it's a fairly impressive plan. I said it would take 5 to 10 days to clean up the city, possibly with some more force there, and I'm not certain that it's going to go, but possibly with some more force, we'd be closer to the 5 than we are to the 10.
Can you still characterize what the military, can you characterize the military underestimated the PDF resistance or the activities of the so-called dignity battalions?
First, the PDF as an organization has been rolled up completely, but they fought a little bit harder than we thought they would, and it took us a little bit longer to get that job done than we thought it would take. You know, there's an old saw that no plan ever survives contact with the enemy. And you got to take it the way it comes once you engage in combat. So that took us a little bit longer than we thought, but it is done. The dignity battalions are in the city, in some sections of it running loose. We have to clean that up. We plan to clean that up. I think a lot of the things that I saw on television yesterday, the looting and things like that, were lawless and criminal elements. Many of the people I saw were not armed, so they didn't look like they were members of dignity battalions. But I have seen similar pictures in the United States from time to time. It's just something that we want to get in and clean up as quickly as we can. I told you, I think the other day, I thought that phase of the operation would be over in 3 days.
What were you what's happening at Quarry Heights hearing about this and about the mortar fire? It's fairly intense fighting from what we hear from our reporters down there. Are you surprised at the scale of what's going on near the Southern Command?
We are not getting fairly intense fighting. We are getting light resistance. We are getting one mortar round. I don't know about the other one. I'll have to look into that just as soon as we're through here. But we are not running into anything in Panama City that we can't handle. Incidentally, in clearing that city, and we have already taken a number of buildings, and as you know, we have some troops at several embassies, it is extremely expensive in terms of the use of troops to do that. We have almost a company of the 82nd around the Marriott Hotel, for example. And as you move street by street, you've got to outpost what you've taken, or it'll simply go right back the way it was. And so that's causing the commanders a problem in terms of the number of troops that they're using.
General, how much training have these troops had, or are they having now in relations with
To take place
we're all
now,
live now?
This is General Maxwell Thurman.
First of all, I want to thank all of you, particularly some new arrivals. How many new arrivals are they? A few who have just come in from the United States, and tell you that we appreciate you coming down. And those of you old hands who have been here long enough know we have clearly a narco-terrorist government in operation that Mr. Noriega has run. So let me talk a little bit about what we're doing here. The way I sort of visualize this at the onset is that the evidence that we've uncovered by reducing Fort Amador, and you may point that out on the map as we talk about that, Rio Hato, which is further out west where the arrows are, over where the Rangers are, Fort Cimarron, which is up to the east here, Tinajitas, which is located in that general area. All those things have told us that, in my view, the President of the United States made the right choice when he ordered us to carry out this activity, because given the fact that we've been here less than 60 hours at this point, we've already seized more than 9,500 weapons. We've seized a substantial amount of trafficking documents. We've been in a headquarters of the man that has run this show, Mr. Noriega. I don't call him a general because he doesn't deserve that title. And he is clearly not only a narco trafficker, but in going through the material that we found in his quarters that we've occupied, apparently he condones or uses the stuff himself, and we've kept more than 50 kilograms of cocaine that's been seized from his headquarters office. A man who's kept a picture of Adolf Hitler in his closet, kept a ready supply of pornography in his desk, and some of you have been out to an area where his voodoo practitioners in his guest house where they practice rituals for Noriega's protection. And so here's a man who has graduated from a narco trafficker indicted in the United States to a narco terrorist by virtue of the caches of ammunition and weapons which we have uncovered and which we are assembling even as we speak now in order to secure them properly. He was clearly dedicated to putting up a substantial force, arming dignity battalions, which in the long run would have given the United States a tremendous challenge in this area. So I guess my view of what we have found as we have gone through decapitating the main parts of his units, and where we have now detained more than 1,400 of his soldiers, PDF soldiers, we have understood that there was underway here a substantial arming of the population in a terroristic type organization. And you now, having been here at this scene today, understand that that terrorist organization is now working here in the city because you have heard the gunfire right over the hill. And that was aimed at a particular group of Panamanian patriots who were standing up for the Andara government. Now, I'm happy to report that we have begun those portions of restoration of governmental activities which we're beginning to make progress on, understanding again that we've been in the action about 60 hours now. So I guess I would have to suggest that my understanding of what we have found here and Mr. Noriega's vast arsenal, which is clear, seems to me that he is well intended on turning this country into a substantial threat to the freedom of navigation and the use of the Panama Canal, and that had it gone on much longer, then that would have given us substantial problems to handle. Now,
for our cable affiliates choosing to break away for a time out here, you're watching CNN's live coverage of events around the world. These are live updates now from Panama.
In terms of the fact that a number of the dignity battalions are loose in the city, and we are having to work hard at getting those particular units under control. Bands of 5 to 10 people who are armed can create a significant amount of mischief. I happen to be over at the Legislative Assembly today, seeing how things were going there as President Endara, Vice Presidents Arias Calderon, and Vice President Billy Ford were at work organizing their governmental structures. And so while I was there, even at that point, lining the fence around the area of the Legislative Assembly were a large group of Panamanians, all raising their hands and waving at me. So I walked over to them, shook hands with them, God bless you, Merry Christmas, thanks for coming. And so there is an enormous sentiment in the population which understands what it is we're about and are interested in supporting the elected government, which was elected in May of this year, and you all know about that. Now, the tasks that we have to lie ahead are to clear and provide security in Panama City and in Cologne, and begin to expand outward to do the same elsewhere. That requires work, and it requires dedicated work to do that. For example, even when we went into Detroit, Michigan, years ago in rioting and looting that was taking place there, it took us more than 10 days to stabilize the situation there.
For those of our cable affiliates who cut away for a commercial break, you're watching CNN's live coverage from Panama City, Panama. This is a briefing by General Maxwell Thurman, the commander of the U.S. 7th Command in Panama City.
The terroristic actions are the residuals of the dignity battalions which are here. So we have work to do in terms of improving military security, and we're hard about that. Now, General Steiner, who was going to be here a little earlier today, who has done a terrific job in carrying out his duties here, asked me to step in for him because he's busy. And I want you to know that he's busy, otherwise he had planned to be here. And you'll hear from him tomorrow. So I want to report to you that work is ongoing, governmental structure is being raised, and activities to reduce the terroristic influences in town are at work. We have to restore the basic functions of the city, and I was over there at the Legislative Assembly today to assist in that function, and we are well along on that road. The effects of it you haven't seen yet, and it'll take some time to do that. In the case of building the police force, we're beginning to do that today. The police force to take over from the police that were previously in the PDF cadre. Security was better last night than it was night before, and will continue to improve tonight. We have to clean up the city, and we're organized to get after that. And I have some additional civil affairs units which are arriving today from the United States to help me out about that. Working with the government itself. So with that as sort of a initial commentary on where we are today, understanding that some of you arrived here today and some have been here for a while, let me open it up for a few questions and see if I can answer those for you. The bounty that has been announced for Mr. Noriega is producing a substantial number of bits of information on his whereabouts. It is the intelligence function of solidifying those to assure that we're able to get a definite lead on that. And we're pursuing that. I would not want to tell you that either I do know or don't know where he is, because I'm trying to get him, which is an important task for me to perform. Yes, sir.
Expected or less than you expected before this operation started?
Yeah, I would say that the residual Dignity Battalion strength and persistence about that is probably a little bit greater than I would have expected at the onset. However, we knew that they were arming those people, and I guess the thing that I've really learned since the exercise began is that with the caches that have been gotten, the target population of the Dignity Battalions was considerably larger than what we had estimated. So from that standpoint, the goal clearly is substantially more. We estimated Dignity Battalion strength to be less than what the arms cache would tend to portray the potential of that is. When you open the, have you been out to Rio Hato? If you haven't been out there, the number of weaponries out there is astonishing in AK-47s, ammunition packed in Marlboro cases and the like, so it's an astonishing array of material for a very small country. Yes, sir.
General Thurman, you call this an activity, call it an exercise.
This is a shooting war down here. Yes, that's right. That's right. There are armed people in Dignity Battalions who are creating that business, and that, when you get a bullet fired at you, that's a war.
So you're saying it's no longer an activity or an exercise?
No, it's not an activity. Now, you may have used the wrong term about that, but what I'm saying to you is there's a significant amount of armed terroristic activity going on, and we have to pursue it until we clean it up. And the other thing I wanted to make to you is that you understand the work done in previous climates in terms of being in either the United States, where our own internal problems, or elsewhere. It takes a little while to do that. And so we're hard at it, and we're keeping on the offensive about it, but it takes work to clean it out, and it's going to take a few days, obviously, to clean it out.
Describe a little more detail these firefights today. I mean, we heard this one here, and you gave us a hope on them. Maybe you can do a little more on it. And there were reports there was something also around the Legislative Palace.
I don't have the report on the Legislative Palace at the moment. What I do have is that this particular firefight is one that's perpetrated against a particular area in immediate vicinity here. But how many people were involved in that on the terrorist side, I don't know. And I'd say it estimates 10 to 15 people can create a significant hazard to you if, in fact, you do that. Now, today, it was directed against a station downtown that we were using, and therefore we had to work on that.
That sounds organized.
I say, it is organized. It's not disorganized. It is organized, clearly organized, and reflects the depth of the Dignity Battalion organization. I beg your pardon? No, my feeling is it may very well be centrally controlled. I beg your pardon? Obviously, he has a hand in setting it up, and I'm sure until we locate him, he will have a guiding hand in terms of people rallying to that until we locate him and arrest him.
How many people do you think are out there?
I'd say a Dignity Battalion represents 300 people or so. The numbers of those are depending upon the arms, and that's one thing that we're beginning to understand a little bit better than before. I would say there are in the neighborhood at the moment maybe a half a dozen. But half a dozen times 300, 1,800 people who are armed and operating in 10 to 12 man groups or 7 to 12 man groups can create a substantial amount of difficulty until we go in and clean it out. I beg your pardon? I've just come from my own headquarters, and I can't recall that. I don't, do we have any information about that? Ron, do you have anything on that? I don't have anything about that, no. Aerial activity? You heard some helicopters up operating here. I beg your pardon?
There was a report that a bomb was dropped around 4:20 this morning in San Miguelito. There was fighting there through the night, and we don't know where the report came from. It just sort of appeared.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'd have to check that one out. We'll be able to get you that information. I don't know.
Joan, how about hostages and others who might not have been taken away and kidnapped, but who may be Americans who may be in danger?
Well, as you know, happily, we rescued the people out of the Marriott. And some of you may have been around there, but I guess you're not. You were trying to get in there. And turned out, in order to get them out, we had a firefight because there were snipers on roofs and elsewhere in the area. So we did have a firefight to get them out. Happily, they are all over at the air base now, or have departed this morning, because we were trying to arrange to get them out. Now, today, we picked up the Smithsonian folks who had been in the hostage situation, and I saw those people over at Fort Clayton earlier this morning, and they look fit. Yes, sir.
General, how much trouble is the UNDARA government having trying to gain control of the city?
Well, it's an organizational function, obviously. We are happily that we have taken control of the Foreign Ministry, the Health Ministry, and the Finance Ministry. And so those institutions are in our hands, and now we have to rally the people to come back to work. So they're at work doing that right now.
General, are more U.S. troops arriving other than those already announced?
Well, I have the Civil Affairs unit that I told you that was coming in, and let me protect my confidentiality on that so I don't tip my hand about it. Yes, sir.
Could we go back to the action that occurred down the hill here?
Yeah.
You said they were, that the pro-Noriega forces were attacking some patriots, and then later on you used the term they were attacking a station.
They were attacking a station in which we had some patriots who had rallied to the Indara cause, and so now they're attacking their own people. And that tells you that they really are terrorists.
Excuse the interruption. When you say
Sure.
station, do you mean a broadcast station?
No, I'm talking about a police station.
Could you run it by us again then? Who were they? Why were they attacked?
The terrorist group was attacking a group of patriots who had rallied to the standing up of the police function. And I'm happy to report that they're still there, and they're still doing good work, and they're getting organized for that. And apparently the terrorists found out about that, and they tried to intimidate them. Who were who people?
Were they the new police force?
Yeah, we have to raise the police force because the police force is part of the public function system that a new government has to ensure. The basic services that you have to assure that go on, medical, sanitation, police, food distribution, all of those are the fire and power situation and all that. We have to do that. So part of the security system of the city is the police force, and therefore we have to raise the police force and get it back in operation. Panamanians, surely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Let me protect a little work on that because we are rallying people to come to them. Some are former policemen, some are former members, ex-policemen, and the like. So I just would say to you that there are people who have stepped forward as the patriots who voted for democracy here in early May, stepped forward and voted for democracy. Now these people understand we have to get the police function going. We're doing it. We have just started the process, as I indicated to you before. We have evacuated now 1,400 plus PDF detained persons. Now, once you do, beg pardon? Well, we brought them to a central location where we can do the following functions about that. We must segregate them, have the appropriate representatives of the new government establish which ones of those are reliable, and therefore from that we'll be able to begin again and raise some of those people into the PDF. We captured it. We captured people at Rio Hato. We captured people in the city. We captured people that were out in Tinajitas and the like. So all the activities that took place in the first 24 hours produced more than 1,400 detainees who were fighters at that time. You bet your boots they were hostile. Okay, a lot of troopers had a lot of firefights out there, and in so doing, you overwhelm that, and you receive them as detainees of the U.S. government until such time as we can rehabilitate them through the local government.
It's been an absolutely incredible day of events unfolding all around the world. Just to bring you up to date a little bit, 2 briefings we have just shared with you, one from the Pentagon, the other from the military in Panama City. Among the top items mentioned, the rumors about Manuel Noriega being captured, they're not true. They say they have taken down all the PDF forces, or as many of them as they could. They're mopping up now, but it's not an easy job. Could take at least 5 more days. And they expect the first planes of food and medicine to be coming from the United States to Panama within 48 hours.
As the U.S. military continues its search for Manuel Noriega, his whereabouts unknown, all